Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Matt and you are watching the Three Musketeers, and today I'm here to talk to you about something that I have personally coined Global War Mode. Now, what is Global War Mode? Global War Mode is an idea or a concept that has been bouncing around within the Battlefield community for some time now, and many people have taken this idea and added their own versions and alterations to it. And in this video, I'm here to talk to you guys about my ideas for Global War Mode and how it could be introduced and brought forward into the Battlefield series in the future, and maybe even Battlefield 4. So what is the purpose behind Global War Mode? The drive and ideas behind Global War Mode are to try and create a more international, global sense of competition and therefore conflict within the Battlefield series. Take your average day game of Rush, Conquest or any game mode at all and make it feel like a small cog in a well-oiled war machine. To make your everyday small-scale battle feel like it's playing a larger purpose in a much grander scheme of things. To give you a sense you are fighting for a much greater cause and a much larger war rather than smaller intermittent battles. But how will Global War Mode work? Now, this is where I've taken the idea and taken my own spin on things to try and take the idea much deeper and to try and create a completely foolproof plan that would really work within the Battlefield series within the future. Now, for something to work successfully on such a large scale as Global War Mode, there would have to be strict rules and regulations for players to abide by, which at first may scare some players, but in the long run, the usual Battlefield experience that we've all come to love and enjoy would not be lost at all. Instead, it would be heightened and improved with the new Global War Mode, which would allow players to gain a lot more experience, a lot more enjoyment out of their game, as well as a lot more sense of achievement whilst playing the online experience. Now, for my example formula of the game mode, I have taken an example from Battlefield 3, and this could be put forward into any future Battlefield game, including Battlefield 4. But for this formula, I have taken from Battlefield 3 that is the Russians versus the Americans. Now, when playing the campaign mode, you get a real sense of this large-scale conflict going on between the Americans and the Russians, with the Russians invading into Iran and other such, large-scale, almost World War III-like stuff going on. But that's something that you really don't get brought across into the online mode with these very small, games of Rush that take place in various different locations. So the idea of Global War Mode is to try and join these all together for one communal purpose and to try and create this sense of a global conflict taking place. Now, for this game mode to work successfully, a player must be dedicated to one side from the get-go, from the day they started playing online. And this is my idea now to create a balanced and very even two sides. So let's use, for example, Battlefield 4. So the day that a player buys Battlefield 4 with a case or even a download, he would receive a code and would be picked for either the Russians or the Americans team. Now, this would be unnegotiable. There was no swapsies, no tradebacks. You either fight for the Russians or the Americans. Now, straight away, this brings up some questions of people saying, well, hang on, what if my friend gets picked for the Russians and I get picked for the Americans? I can no longer play with my friends. But as I said previously, this would not at all hinder the usual Battlefield experience. As you can tell from the title, this would be a game mode. It would be easily turned on and off, so the usual Battlefield experience would not be hindered. You could always still play with your friends when and whenever and how you like to. But then that begs the question, well, why would you ever want to play Global War Mode? Well, as I said previously, Global War Mode would create a much larger sense of competition and also create a much larger chance for achievement than normal game modes. Now, currently, to unlock early access content, it depends on your console and whether or not you have premium. Now, my idea for Global War Mode to create a real sense of competition and rivalry is if you want to unlock content early, is a decider on whether or not your army is winning or losing. Now, here begs another question. If the Americans, for example, are winning and get their content a week early, how are they going to fight the Russians if the people who play for the Russians have not unlocked that content for another week? Now, this is your opportunity. As I said, you can constantly play the game in normal mode and you can play as many people as you want in the American team who've unlocked the content early. But not only that, it will play a key role in their next battle. As for example, the Americans who unlocked the map a week early would know the map much better by the time they came to conflict with the Russians, giving them a much greater advantage. Once again, heightening that sense of competition to unlock those maps earlier. Now, a large-scale gaming mode like this begs many questions about balancing issues. Now, I'm aware that if a large-scale competition was to go on for such a large period of time, it may become so unbalanced that people would say, what's the point in playing anymore? The Americans are winning by 1 million points and we're never going to get that back, so the Russians would stop playing, the Americans would have no one to fight, and the game mode would die. Now, my idea to counter that, instead of having one large-scale continuing battle, would be to have many different global wars. And they would last for about 6 months each, and at the end of that 6 months would be content that would be given and rewarded to the winning side. Let's use Battlefield 3 for example, that a global war would have begun when Close Quarters came out, and continued until Armored Kill came out. And the decider of who got that content would be who won that global war. Now, creating such a large game mode as this with such chance to unlock and achieve would create unprecedented rivalry, which could be nothing but healthy for the gaming community. It would create a sense of purpose for each and every player, making them feel that they were fighting for a much greater cause. And it would also, hopefully, create a real sense of camaraderie between players of the same side. Now, the game mode would work as Battlefield has always worked, with players picking any game mode they want and playing however and whenever they want with any class they want. Your average on-the-ground Battlefield experience would not change in-game. The game mode would work by having on the online server options where you pick what kind of game mode you want to play, how many players you want to play with, and what map you want to play on. There would be an option for global war mode, and if a player were to tick this box, it would mean they would be fighting for their dedicated side and they could no longer play with anybody of their choice. They'd be playing with their dedicated troops. And they could still play whatever game mode they wanted, Rush, Conquest, Team Deathmatch, but as you played those games, every point that you accumulated and every game that you won and lost will be counted towards a much grander scale of things, and it's these points that will be added up together to create a global score for the Russians and the Americans, therefore creating the online total score. In essence, it's a very simple formula that if played out correctly could really enhance the Battlefield community, and not only that, it could really create a sense of rivalry, camaraderie, teamwork and achievement unprecedented by any other first-person online shooter before it, and could really add a real new dynamic aspect to the Battlefield series. If you've enjoyed this video, guys, and want to see this game mode in a future Battlefield game or a future Battlefield series, help me out, guys. Like the video, share the video, comment the video. Let's really get this video out there to as many people as possible and hopefully get into a position where it can be seen by someone who counts. As I said, this is an idea that's been bouncing around within the Battlefield community for some time, and I know some other people have touched on it in the past, but I really wanted to get it all consolidated into one solid video. So let's get this video out there, guys, and hopefully someone in a position to make a difference can see this. So help me out, guys, and share the video and comment the video and do whatever you want with this video. It would be really great if you could, guys. Anyway, thank you for watching, and in the meantime, hope you enjoy yourself, and see you soon.